Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome. My name is Mandy, and I had no intentions of making this video today. I had an intention of making it because I have had a few requests, but the reason I'm doing it today is because I did get an email from the owner of Refer, and they are doing their last store-wide sale starting today, as long as I'm putting this up on the right date. Friday the 16th. No, they are not closing down. They're changing the concept of their store. So I'm not exactly sure what that's going to entail yet. All I know is that it's going to be the last time that they offer a discount across their entire collection in exchange for feedback, which is the whole purpose of their concept store since they launched. So I have had a couple of people ask me to do an updated favorite brush video. So I thought, what better time to do it than now? No, not all of these are Refer, but quite a few of them are. So I thought it would be a good time to show you which ones are my favorites in case you wanted to take advantage of that store-wide sale. Now, this is a different concept than I think I've done in the past, because this is basically if I lost every single one of my brushes, which I have collected quite the amount of brushes over the last 15 years. But if I lost all of them, which ones am I going to purchase first? So there is going to be one favorite per category of makeup. I will do cutaways to me using them. So without further ado, let's jump in. I will try to go in order of how I apply my makeup. So the first thing I apply is foundation. I have a lot of favorite foundation brushes, and I will go ahead and preface this entire video. If I have said I have loved a brush in the past, that has not changed if I don't mention that brush in this video. It is not easy to choose one out of all the ones that I have. But the one for foundation that I think I would have to choose is the Refer LC03. This is one of the newer foundation brushes in their collection. It is synthetic fibers, so it just blends out foundation beautifully. Synthetic fibers do tend to work better overall with liquids and creams. Today I used a cream foundation, and this just does the work for you. I basically stipple it on the skin. It blends the foundation out perfectly. I love the shape. It keeps its shape. It doesn't get super frayed out. It washes nice. I love it. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's kind of the perfect size for my face. Now let's go to concealer. This is one that I am going to show two. I don't think I have another category where I'm gonna show two, but this one I quite honestly use these two probably the same amount. So I would just not feel right not mentioning them. The one I used for the cutaway today is the BK Nikki LaRose N14. This is a domed shape small brush, so it's perfect for under the eyes. It's perfect to get around the nose, anywhere where you need a little bit more precise concealing. I have used this for foundation before to really buff a foundation in. It's fabulous. And the BK Beauty 109 is another one that I have used for ages, since it launched basically, for concealer. So this is basically a miniature version of their 101 brush, kind of a miniature version of the Refer that I just showed. So it is at a very nice slant. So it is really easy to get up under the eye without bringing too much product down. This is just a multi-purpose brush in general because it's great for cream highlight. It's great for cream blush, cream bronzer. I mean, really, there's not much this can't do. So next I set my under eye with a loose powder. For years I used the Wayne Goss, I think it was the number 2 brush, and I still occasionally use that, but you can't get it as far as I know, at least the original one that I use. So I wanted to start being on the lookout for another one that I loved that was very soft and fluffy. I don't want something super dense to put powder under my eyes because I don't want a lot of powder under my eyes. I need it to be something that has more give to it so it just doesn't apply too much product. So the MAC 240S, which I talked about in one of my last videos, has become one that I am using daily for that purpose. It is fluffy enough, you can see the powder that's coming off of it from when I used it. Fluffy enough, not too dense to put too much product, and quite honestly, the very perfect size to fit under the eye to set the concealer. So I have been reaching for this more than any other brush since I got it, and it is one that is available now. And so if I had to choose, while I have used the Wayne Goss clearly much longer, this one's available, and I do love it. So I would have to choose that one for my under eye powder. And I decided to double up on bronzer and blush today so that I could show you my favorite brushes, not only for cream bronzer, but powder bronzer, cream blush, and powder blush. So I do cream products before I set them with a powder, and the next step I did was go in with a cream bronzer. This brush has not changed. Ever since I have had it, which has been years now, it has been my go-to for cream bronzer, and it's the Hourglass Vanish Foundation Brush. Obviously, this is marketed as a foundation brush. I think they first launched it when their Vanish Foundation, the stick cream formula, came out, and they kind of marketed them together. I've used this with foundation and it's fine, but with cream bronzer, it is truly the perfect density and size to stipple any cream bronzer that I have onto my face. I most of the time prefer to pick up the bronzer from the product and then blend it out on my face, and it works. It doesn't matter if it's in a stick or if it's in a compact. I can use it with a liquid bronzer, put some on my hand, stipple it on. It works with every single cream liquid bronzer that I have, and it's just the perfect shape and density for me personally. So definitely the first that I would purchase for that. As far as cream blush, which is the next step, I love the BKA 507. This is the travel version, so it's a little bit shorter, but this is a little bit more of a denser blush brush, but it's the same shape as a traditional blush brush. So yes, you can use it for bronzer, you can use it for powder blush. It works great for all of those, but I find it works best for me to pick up cream blush and then blend it out on the cheeks. I used it today with my Swede doll face blush, and it just, I mean, literally the theme of this is to find brushes that do the work for you, because I am very, very convinced that the tools are half of the finished product. And so when you can find tools that truly do half the work for you, you know you're gonna have a good finished product every time. And this is one of those brushes for cream blush. I do a two-step set routine for my powders. So I will take a loose powder, most of the time a loose powder, and use it to set the middle of my face. And then I will take a, most of the time, pressed powder that may not be as mattifying on the rest of my face. So while I typically use a puff for my loose powder in the middle, lately I've been using a brush when I use my Fit Glow Beauty powder, which is what I have on in the center of my face today. And I just picked up, and I don't know if you can even get this anymore, I'm just showing it to you, the Sephora #1 foundation brush. So if I were to repurchase and I couldn't get this, I think I would probably look for something very similar to this size. Now, this is shaped somewhat similar to the Repher. The difference is this has way more give than the Repher does. Putting the same amount of pressure, and the bristles move way more on this. So it's not gonna apply as much product. If you choose to use it with foundation, it's going to give you a more sheer coverage because of the density of the bristles. And I just find I can pick the Fit Glow up and literally just press it very lightly into my skin, and it gives the perfect amount of powder without doing too much. To be fair, I don't think you could ever do too much of the Fit Glow powder because of the nature of its formula, but I just love how this one lays it down. So if I wasn't able to find this one, especially separately, because when I first bought it, it was in a set with some other brushes, and Sephora changes out their sets all the time. I would look for something similar to the size and density of that brush. You could also use the MAC 240S to do that same thing. Okay, I am a little extra, sometimes a lot extra, and I like having options, but you don't have to have options. So this could definitely do the same job, and you already have it from your under eyes. Now, for the rest of my face, I like to, again, use a pressed powder. I chose a brush that for me not only works great with a pressed powder, but also works great with a powder foundation. So this means that I would not have to go out and buy a couple of different brushes for those purposes, because I often wear a powder foundation. Now, the one that I use to set my foundation today is a powder foundation, and the brush that I chose really does work flawless for both. The only thing I don't like about it is it is double-ended, but this is the Lawless multi-use powder brush. I've talked about this forever. I rarely use this side, although if you were into double-sided brushes, this could definitely take the place of this. Again, another way to not have the collection be so large. I just rarely use this side. It's this side that is so perfect for pressed powder and powder foundations. It is the perfect density. When I'm using powder foundations, I need something that is not loose. I do not want a fluffy brush. I need something with density. I need something that's gonna give me coverage. When I'm using a regular pressed powder, I want something that's going to stipple it on quick, not use as much product as maybe I would using a fluffy brush, and still do the job. That is this. Just press, press, press. It's done. I love it. I've talked about this many, many times since I've gotten it. Now let's talk about powder products as far as bronzer and blush. For bronzer, I would definitely have to choose my Rephr number 5 brush. This is typically one that I will reach for when I'm using a more pigmented bronzer. However, I used it today with my Dolce & Gabbana in light medium, which is not one I would consider pigmented, and it still applies it flawlessly. There are some baked gelée formulas, for instance, the Sicily, which I sometimes feel like I need a little bit more of a denser brush to pick up the product, but I can still get this one to work. So if I was really being extra, I would pick 2 bronzer brushes, one for more densely packed baked gelée formulas and one for all the rest. But if I'm going to be very, very, very picky, it would be this one. I love the size. It's not too big. It's not too small. And I find myself reaching for this 85% of the time. For powder blush, it hasn't changed in probably 10 years. And that's the thing about finding brushes you love. As long as you take care of them and wash them, they will last you forever. And this is a case in point. This is the IT brushes for Ulta. It comes in a set with another one I'm gonna talk about. And this is so, I don't know if you're able to see the ferrule. It is so banged up. It has so many dents in it, but I don't care because it works so well for powder blushes. And I know this has been a constant in every brush video that I have done because I quite honestly don't have another blush brush that I have used as consistently for as long as this one. And even though you can only get it in a set, because I'm gonna talk about it with another brush that I have, to me, the set is worth the price of those 2 brushes. At this point, I will do highlight. Now, I will go ahead and say the 109 brush that I talked about for concealer is fabulous for a liquid or cream highlight. So another kind of 2-in-1 here, but today I used a powder highlight and I have to give it to my Anastasia A23. It doesn't even have writing on it anymore. This is another one that I've had for close to 10 years, I feel like. And there's just, I mean, there's a reason it is a highlight brush. It's perfectly shaped to apply highlight on the tops of your cheekbones. If you like it down your nose, I typically don't, but whatever's left is gonna go there. On your chin, on, you know, above your brows, Cupid's bow, doesn't matter. This is gonna do it. And I've been using it for so long. While I have other brushes, the Rephr AA01 is great for powder highlight. This is probably the one I would repurchase because I've used it the most. And then this is the other IT Cosmetics brush that comes in that set. This is the Blurring Powder Brush. That is a tongue twister for some reason for me. And this is the one that I have used for years and years and years in my buffing step, which is always with the Hourglass Radiant Light Powder. I will use quite a bit of pressure. I will use quite a bit of product because it never can be overdone. I don't take away makeup on my face when I do this step, but the dual fiber nature and setup of this brush is what works the best for me when buffing. So when people ask, what brush is the best to buff? I'm not saying you have to get this one, but to me, a duo fiber brush of some kind works the best for me when it comes to buffing. And this one is, it's just as banged up as the blush brush because I use it so much. And that is it for the face. Those are definitely the ones that I would, no questions asked, repurchase immediately if all of my brushes disappeared. Now let's talk about the eyes. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you and tell you that Rephr is just hands down my favorite brand for the eyes. It will be very hard for you to go back ever since Rephr basically started in my videos and see me use much else for my eyes. I might throw in another one every once in a while, but the majority of the time it is always Rephr. I have one extra one that I'm going to talk about, and I will start out with that because I didn't do this technique in this video. It's the one and done, where if I am using a shadow and I just want to slap it in my crease and on my lids, and that be that, these are the two brushes that I'm going to use. And the reason I'm showing two is because I find one to be better with cream and one to be better with powder. The one that's better with powder is my Bisciotto brush that I absolutely adore for this step. No other brush that I talk about today does the work for you like this one does. It is so insanely soft. It is very large, which is perfect when I'm wanting a one and done. It's gonna take less time to achieve that. In my crease, all over my lid. I love this with my matte Give Me Some bronzer. Those two together give me probably my favorite eye look of all time, and it's one product. I can't recommend this one enough. Now, if I'm using a cream or liquid eyeshadow, I really like the Rephr number 32. And I really hope all of these Rephr brushes are still available. If they're not, if you can't find them, you can Google what it is and kind of see if you can find something similar to the shape. But this one is slanted. You can see it's on a slant, and it's just dense enough to really pack on a cream. It's dirty because I used it in my Swede video with the cream blush as an eyeshadow, and that's a great example of how I use this brush. It works great with the RMS eye lights. It is a natural hair brush, so you may feel that you need to wash it a little bit more often if you use it with many liquids, but I find I can use it with creams and it works perfect. Now let's talk about the brushes from Rephr. What I did today is probably the most steps that I will ever do at this point in my life for eyeshadow, so that I could show you all of the brushes that I would choose. There are 7 brushes total, and the first one is the crease brush. This is number 27. They have a 15 that is beautiful for the crease. It's a little bit more dense and it doesn't flare as much at the top. This one is just the perfect size for my particular eye to really wash a color, and today I used it for more of a transition shade where I didn't feel the need to be as precise. It's great for that step. And then if I want to add a little bit more color into the crease, I go for a more detailed brush, and this is the number 14. This is a much smaller version of the 27. It doesn't flare out as much on the top. This can also be used underneath the eye. I'm gonna show another one for that. But if you like a really blown out look under the eye, this is great for that. But I love just putting it into my crease, kind of stamping some color and then blending that out just to give a little bit of a gradient effect in the crease. It works great for that. If you have super small eyes, that might be a perfect crease brush for you. Now, if I want to deepen up the outer V, the Rephr number 1 brush is my go-to. It is the perfect size for me to put it on its side and just blend out a little bit of a deeper color to give a little bit more depth to my eyes, a little bit more dimension. But again, it is fluffy enough to blend out the product as I'm applying it, which is what I want for not only speed, but ease. The Rephr number 2 is perfect for applying a lid shade. This is a flat, more dense brush. It really packs on a shimmer shade or a matte shade onto the lid nicely. It gives the most amount of pigment. And today I used a little bit of a darker shimmer on the lid, and I turned it around and used a little bit of a lighter shade to enhance the center of my lid. Perfect for that. And then I have 2 liner brushes that I'm going to talk about, and they serve 2 different purposes. Today I use the number 3. This is a very tiny, precise pencil brush, and that is because lately I've really been liking a more smoked out liner. So if I'm not using a pencil liner that I need to go in with an extra brush and smoke out, I will use this brush to apply shadow as liner so that it makes a little bit more of a smoky effect as I'm applying it, but still keeps it where I want it because of the size of the brush. Now, if I want to have a very precise shadow liner, oh my word, the Rephr 29. And I have talked about this for ages because it is one that I really do think people will benefit from having in their collection. Look at how incredibly detailed and tiny that brush is. You will not find something more precise to just stipple liner right into that lash line. You can use this with gel liner. You can use it with cake liner. I like using it with shadow liner. It works perfectly every time. And then finally, for underneath the eyes, because I very often like to smoke out my under eyes, this is the 14 mini. So I talked about the 14 as a little bit more of a definitive crease brush, and the 14 mini is the same shape, but much smaller. So you're gonna get not as much of a blown out look on your under eye, but it's still gonna be a smoky effect. And those, without question, it didn't take me any time. It really didn't take me any time to pick any of these because they truly are the ones that I use the most, but these are definitely the most used eye brushes that I have in my very vast collection of eye brushes. And the only one that I didn't talk about that I have to put in here, because I rarely ever do this on camera, is my brow brush, and talk about something that has been put through the ringer. This basically isn't attached anymore. I don't know why I haven't gotten a new one. I think there's a little bit of sentimentality going on here for some reason. I mean, it's a brow brush, but still. The Anastasia A12. I have to paint on my brows, and I use a pencil, and then I go in with a powder, and this is the one that I've been using for powder for, again, close to 10 years. It's like green on the handle now. It's not even black. It's like a gradient because I've used it so much, but it's still, especially this side, holding up. So I just haven't felt the need to buy another one. And I use that one every single day. No questions asked. I don't even really venture into trying any other brow brush because I don't need to. That one works so well. And that is the full compilation of every single brush I would repurchase if I lost all of mine. One, sometimes two per category. I will have everything listed and linked down below. Take advantage of that refer sale. I do have an affiliate link with them. Thank you if you choose to use it, but you definitely don't have to take part in the sale. I have a little bit of an extra coupon code for BK Beauty brushes in May, and I will have all of them listed and linked below. So thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know your favorite brushes of all time down in the comment section. I will see you in my next video, and I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.